What up, gamers? Fancier here, and welcome back to my reaction to the SpongeBob conspiracy compilation with 8 new mini theories. Last time we watched the Goofy Goober theory and the Squidward director mini theory. In this video, we'll be watching the robot invasion theory and the alien jellyfish invasion mini theory. 2 invasions, robots and aliens, alien jellyfish, to be exact. I remember there was this one episode that had the alien jellyfish. I'm guessing that will be a big part for this theory here, this mini theory. But yeah, as always, I would advise you guys to check out Alex Bale's channel, as he is the one who made this, and he definitely deserves the views and watch time. But yeah, definitely go check him out. I'll make sure to leave it down in the comments below. But yeah, guys, let's go resume the robot invasion theory. Here we go.
Alright, so I admit it, some of my theories have been a little crazy lately. I mean, Goofy Goober, alien death cult theory, Pearl's dead mother theory. Let's maybe try and slow down a bit on this
I forgot what this theory was about. I think it has to do with Plankton and his inventions.
one. There is a secret robot invasion happening in Bikini Bottom! Everywhere you look, robots have integrated themselves into society, kidnapping and replacing people with robot cyborgs, waiting for their chance to rise up and start the robot apocalypse. This is not a joke. I repeat, the robots are coming. The robots are coming.
This is the robot invasion theory.
Part 1, the robots are coming. You got the Terminators here.
One of my favorite episodes of SpongeBob is the season 3 episode Crabborg. SpongeBob watches a scary robot movie.
Oh, this was a
and gets
good
super
episode.
Paranoid about robots taking over, and even kidnaps Mr. Krabs.
What? You think I'm a robot?
Boop boop bop.
We don't
Beep.
We
Boop bop.
It's a really funny episode, but I can't help but wonder if SpongeBob's fears might be a bit more justified than we thought. In the episode SB129, we get our first glimpse of the future of Bikini Bottom, 2,000 years later.
Oh, okay, what's going on here?
Everything
Why
is chrome.
everything Chrome.
Everything is chrome in the future.
We see a world covered in chrome, where everyone has been replaced with robotic people.
SpongeBob, is that you?
SpongeBob? No, I am SpongeTron.
And this isn't the only
You know what's also pretty interesting too is that I remember one of the Title Zone episodes was everyone being robots, but they actually look like robots and not like the regular selves.
time we see a future full of robots. In the season 7 episode Back to the Past, SpongeBob time travels to an alternate future where Man Ray takes over, and once again, people have been replaced by robots. And then, in the second SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, there's a deleted scene where SpongeBob and Plankton go to the future and see this.
Yeah, this scene was cool.
We did it! I wonder when we are. Excuse me, sir. Do you know what year this is? Cyborgs? We didn't go back in time. We went front in time.
There's also 2 new episodes, Welcome to Binary Bottom and PL1413, that show
Wait,
us
what?
the future taken over by
PL what? Is that like a sequel to the other one?
robots. I'll talk about them
Everything is chrome in the future. Oh shoot, my bad.
a little more at the end of this theory. And there's even
Ooh.
foreshadowing in episodes that take place in the present. In the Krusty Krab training video, we hear this.
Well, luckily for you, Mr. Krabs' fear of robot overlords keeps the balance of technology in check.
And in Insecurity Guards, we can see an exhibit that clearly shows the evolution of SpongeBob eventually getting taken over by robots. Okay, so there seems to be a lot of evidence for the future of Bikini Bottom being taken over by robots. But honestly, why does any of this matter? I mean, robots ruling the world is a pretty common depiction of the future in lots of different media. And even if this is
Yeah.
the canonical future of the show, it's at the very least thousands of years in the future. It's not like we can already see this robot invasion happening in present-day Bikini Bottom, right? Here's an interesting question about SpongeBob that's always bothered me. Why are there so many robots in the show? And I'm not talking about Sandy or Plankton's inventions. It makes sense for them to have robots since they're both genius inventors. But why do hospitals and office buildings and amusement parks and Weenie
Yeah, it's
Hut
weird.
Juniors and many, many more places have such advanced robots? I mean, let's ignore the fact
Weenie
that
Hut
they're
Junior too.
underwater and robots wouldn't really make sense down here. Bikini Bottom isn't like a super advanced society, right? You wouldn't really say that they have much futuristic technology, except when it comes to robots. But why? And what's even stranger is that there are many instances where these robots suddenly turn evil. The first time I really started to notice this was in the season 7 episode Tunnel of Glove. SpongeBob and Pearl get trapped in a Glove World boat ride that's full of animatronics. Patrick tries to set them free by breaking into the
Then they
control
became
room,
evil.
but accidentally causes all the animatronics to suddenly turn evil and attack SpongeBob.
It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, but a ride.
This is a pretty basic cartoon trope. Someone accidentally breaks the controls, then the robot malfunctions and turns evil. This isn't really all that weird for SpongeBob. Except, what's strange about this is that Patrick doesn't break any controls. He hits a button labeled Animatronic Override, and that's what causes the robots to turn evil.
I'll just gingerly lean on this wall. Huh?
They aren't malfunctioning. The robots were intentionally designed to have a button that makes them attack people, but why? Then, in the episode Good Neighbors, Squidward discovers a flyer for a home security system that's suspiciously free despite it clearly being very advanced. After he sets it up, his house suddenly grows arms and legs and starts destroying Bikini Bottom.
I forgot a lot about this theory.
Wow, Squidward's house is destroying the neighborhood.
Now, to be fair, this was a malfunction caused by SpongeBob, but
Yeah.
why would a simple home security system have giant arms and legs? I mean, the malfunction didn't create them, they were clearly already installed. They eventually do manage to stop the house, but what's really creepy about this is that we can still see signs of Squidward's house being sentient after this episode. Then, in the season 11 episode Krusty Cleaners, SpongeBob and Patrick go to an office building and encounter a trash cleaning robot. The robot immediately attacks them for causing a mess.
Yeah, dude, this robot was so pissed in that episode.
But this time, there's no malfunction that causes this. It's working exactly as intended.
Oh yeah, it's just
Not only
destroying.
does the trash robot have a buzzsaw and a literal laser cannon, but it also turns all of the nearby machines into killer robots to help hunt down SpongeBob and Patrick. So, where are all these places getting these super advanced robots? And more importantly, why are they all being programmed to suddenly turn evil? This is a question that stumped me for a while, until I watched the season 11 episode, My Leg.
My
This
Leg.
is the episode where I truly realized there was
There's
an
Fred.
actual conspiracy theory here, and not just cartoon
An official
antics.
character now.
It's time we finally find out who is behind the robot invasion.
Part 2, the mastermind.
The episode My Leg focuses on the reoccurring gag of this one fish always injuring his leg throughout the show.
I think you can find an interesting story with Fred, the My Leg guy. Is he really the first person to yell My Leg, or is he a fraud? Ooh. He's become kind of a Bikini Bottom celebrity in modern SpongeBob. Is he desperate for attention because his father because his father never loved him? Season 13, Squidward's sick days, and he finally getting sick of being known as just the My Leg guy in the birthday blowout. Ooh.
At one point in the episode, he goes to a hospital and meets a robot that works there. It's just a small throwaway gag. The robot never turns evil or does anything strange.
Don't take my leg! Don't take my leg!
But there's something awfully familiar about the robot's design. Let's go all the way back to the season 3 episode Plankton's Army, which opens with Plankton trying to steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula with a robot disguise.
You never know what trick he'll use to steal me secret Krabby Patty formula.
What a quaint
There he is.
restaurant. I think I will sample their wares.
These robots have an uncanny similarity, right down
Yeah, this one is very much the same design. Like, yeah, maybe there's some bolts are a bit different in some places, but it does feel like pretty much like just the way it's laid out. It's very similar.
down to the same tie. Okay, but maybe we could just chalk this up to the showrunners being lazy and
Yeah.
reusing assets. But SpongeBob
Like,
is
I can
all-
definitely see it just being kind of like what I said before with the Scrollium theory, where maybe it's just a template that they just follow. They're just gonna reuse like this similar design, choose a color and call it a day,
always had a pretty diverse amount of robot designs throughout the show. And it's not like this is a direct copy-paste either. They went to the effort to redesign the face and colors, but it was still clearly based on Plankton's robot. So,
Yeah.
Here's my theory. Plankton has built many robots to try and steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, but I think after he fails to do so, he doesn't just throw them away. He redesigns the robots and then gives them to different businesses in Bikini Bottom with the intention to one day use them to take over the world once he has enough in place. I mean, we know what Plankton really wants isn't the secret formula, it's to rule the world.
I will rule the world!
And there's even the video game, Battle for Bikini Bottom, where Plankton tried to take over using an army of robots. Many people commented this, but this also could explain how Plankton stays in business despite never having any customers.
He probably sells them.
Yeah.
Because how else is he funding himself? People don't eat at his fucking restaurant. Oh, that's okay.
I like that. That's a very cool point. Good job, guys.
I thought he mentioned that though in this theory. I guess he didn't. I don't know. I thought somewhere in this theory that he said that he would like sell the robots, repurpose them to sell. I guess maybe other people instead said that. Oh wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. I thought he was the one to say that. Like this point.
So, this theory doesn't seem too far-fetched for Plankton's character, but we're gonna need a lot more evidence if we're
Because
gonna
like yeah,
prove
it
he's
makes sense. That's how he stays in business, pays the rent or whatever.
the one behind all the robots in Bikini
I just thought that Alex Bale was the one that said that and not like other people.
Bottom. So, let's get started. In the Season 3 episode, No Weenies Allowed, we see a robot working at a place called Weenie Hut Juniors.
Would you care for another Diet Cola with a lemon twist, Weenie?
And while it doesn't resemble any of the robots we've seen Plankton make, does that voice sound familiar to you?
Would you care for another Diet Cola with a lemon twist? What a quaint restaurant. I think I will sample their wares.
And again, it's not like this is the default robot voice we hear in SpongeBob. There are many different voices the show has used for robot characters.
What a quaint restaurant.
Greetings, I am Robo 2.1.
No threat detected. This is very uncomfortable.
Leave my father alone!
But here, they specifically recreated the voice from Plankton's robot. Let's go back to Glove World for a second. In the control room, we see a machine on the wall that looks shockingly like SpongeBob.
Yeah, there's
so much so that
SpongeBob.
Patrick even mistakes him for it. We know Plankton has built a SpongeBob robot before in Welcome to the Chum Bucket. Maybe he repurposed it here inside of Glove World.
Yeah, that I'm not sure about. I feel like if anything, they just took the base of it and just reconfigure everything else. But at the same time, like I'm sure there's plenty of like box shaped stuff that they just use instead. The color is suspicious though, the yellow and brown.
In Krusty Cleaners, the trash robot also has a striking resemblance to Plankton's robot in the Season 9 episode Eek and Urchin. In the Season 5 episode The Patty Gadget, Squidward tries to get SpongeBob fired by replacing him with a machine that creates Krabby Patties for free. But it's never explained where Squidward got this machine. Now, it doesn't resemble anything we've seen Plankton make, but a staple in a lot of Plankton's inventions is having them resemble his likeness, especially with one eye in the middle, and that's exactly
true.
what we see with the Patty Gadget. And the patties it makes are terrible, which would make sense for something Plankton made. In the episode All That Glitters, SpongeBob buys a super advanced talking spatula.
Le Spatula 3000 at your service.
But in the episode Evil Spatula, we find out Plankton has a whole collection of advanced spatulas just like this one, and even tries to trick SpongeBob into taking a talking spatula. Also in House Sittin' for Sandy, we see Sandy has a warehouse full of robots that eventually go rogue and fully destroy her tree dome.
Yeah, that was a future episode.
Now, I knew about this back when I was first making this theory, but I didn't mention it because it didn't seem like there was any way to connect it back to Plankton, since we know Sandy could have easily created these robots
a different
on
person.
her own. But in a new Season 14 episode, Hysterical History, we
this
actually
episode
do
again.
see Plankton chasing Mr. Krabs
What?
with the same robot.
At least Bikini
Oh
Bottom is normal
no.
now.
So that means Plankton gave the robots to Sandy probably. Or maybe the other way
He
around.
actually was the one who gave Sandy the robots after
Dang.
all. She's not even surprised to see Plankton with the same robot.
Yep, totally normal.
It seems like no matter where we turn, we can find a connection between the technology in Bikini Bottom and Plankton. But if you remember in those glimpses of the future, the world isn't just ruled by robots. They've actually replaced all the existing citizens.
I just changed this text to Jared is watching, who will later show up in Happy Meat Farms. I haven't caught up to the whole ARG stuff with the Muse ARG. Only like whatever was available on Alex Bale's channel, but I haven't like looked into the other stuff too, like Happy Meat Farms and anyone else's like channel. Like I know one of the characters he made for the ARG was Conspiracy Carl. I don't even know if that's a real channel or not. I never got to check it out. Only the Cynical Critic, I think, is what I checked out, and the whole Sonk thing too.
With robot copies.
Sonk the Blue Rat.
And believe it or not, this is also something we can already see happening in Bikini Bottom today. Get ready to see how far this robot invasion has really gone.
Trust No One Part 3. In the original theory upload with film splice in between these parts, we cut from Victoria to this Trust No One, um, at her manipulating Alex. Oh, wow. So, because, yeah, I remember at some points he would just put his Muse ARG cutscenes in between these, like in the middle of these theories now. I'm guessing that's what it's trying to say, where like some of the Muse ARG cutscenes were also kind of like related to like what was in the video right now.
Now, we know Plankton has tried to turn people into robots before.
SpongeBob, come in here. Or should I say Robot Bob?
But he gave up after SpongeBob was too annoying.
You've got to take
Yeah.
that yellow nightmare back. It's not worth it.
But I don't think this was his only attempt. In the season 11 episode, The Checkup, SpongeBob and Squidward are trying to give Mr. Krabs a health checkup by testing his pinching reflexes.
Okay, I brought plenty of things for Mr. Krabs to pinch. A pinch of salt.
And one of the things they have him pinch is a baby.
A baby's cheek.
Yeah, that was a crazy scene to see at first. But you know, it was a robot.
That was a robot baby.
Some random baby just turned out to be a robot, and it's never explained why. That's weird even for SpongeBob. But things get even more interesting when we go back to Season 9 in the episode Plankton's Pet, where Plankton tries to steal a Krabby Patty using the exact same purple baby as a robot disguise.
I thought this was a very good disguise too.
Diabolical fiend.
I don't know how Mr. Krabs saw through that.
And we're not even done yet. If we go even further back to the Season 5 episode, Goo Goo Gas, we can actually see the exact moment where Plankton gets the idea to turn the baby into a robot.
Why, yes,
That's
little
the
tiny
inspiration.
robot. I could take your formula whenever I wanted to, and you couldn't do a thing about it.
That's it. Finally, victory will be mine.
Now, in the episode, it's implied that this is just him getting the idea to turn everyone into babies to steal the formula, but isn't it crazy how it also perfectly lines up with the purple baby fish suddenly turning into a robot in future episodes?
Dude, Plankton took up taxidermy, bro. Stuff the baby skin with robot parts, bro.
Now, there's another fish who's always been very suspicious to me.
Oh, here we
The
go.
strangely realistic news anchor fish.
The news anchor fish.
Bikini Bottom is abuzz over the identity of a mysterious flying man who helps people. Who knows what superhero act of courage he'll astound
And think of the voice
us
too.
with next.
In a show full of cartoon characters, why is he the only realistic one? In fact, I made a whole theory about how there are evolved cartoony fish that can talk, and primitive realistic fish who can't. But as many people have pointed out, the one exception to this is the realistic news anchor fish. Well, if you ask me, he looks a lot like one of those animatronic singing fish you buy in a gift shop. Especially the way he mechanically moves his mouth and how we only ever see one side of him. So, already a pretty strong indication that he might be a robot, but there's also something familiar about his voice.
What kind
Yeah.
of cruel, careless, evil person? I'll canvass all the seediest lowbrow dives in town. Evil person.
Yeah, I remember that too. Just you know, just watching the regular videos or not the videos, the episodes. Like yeah, like once I start to really focus into like his voice, that's when I noticed that was that Plankton. Like in like back then in shows, I never knew that voice actors can take multiple roles at the time. Like I think with Plankton, I think Plankton also voices Larry too, right? Or I forgot which one, but I think it's also Larry too. Like back then, I thought maybe it was just one character, or like one actor per character. But no, they can voice multiple ones, which is very impressive. You know.
Yo.
But yeah, when I saw this theory, that it pretty much confirmed like my suspicions. Because yeah, when I first saw it, I was wondering if that fish was plankton because he sounds just like him. Then yeah, after watching this theory, because I never bothered to look it up. Yeah, it is pretty much the same character. Well, I guess we need to look at the credits too, right? I never thought about that. It's just it sounds similar. I thought maybe I just pretty much took it at Alex's word, but I think it is pretty much the same voice actor.
What? Plankton! It does sound like Plankton. I never caught that. Plankton controls the news?
That's right. He has the same voice as Plankton. And
Okay,
if
yeah,
you're
there
gonna
we
take
go.
over the world, then you're definitely gonna want to control the media. But then how did he grow hair in the Mrs. Puff theory if he was actually a robot all along? Fuck.
I did wonder about that, but yeah, back then I really thought, I was wondering if that was plankton or not until I watched his theory on this.
Again, I don't know. Maybe robots can just grow their hair, okay? I don't know, man. You try making 8.
I don't know. I guess if he's trying to pass off as a real character, like a real fish, I'm guessing he just put on like a wig to show that he's like aging over time, where he would lose hair. But yeah, if he's trying to disguise himself as one of these evolved fishes, then yeah, maybe that's like a part of it, maybe you know. And then yeah, over time as he gets older, it would make sense that maybe he would like lose hair.
SpongeBob theories and having them all connect perfectly, okay? But how
No,
exactly
I
is
made it. I made a
Plankton
theory
related
for
to
you.
people
I
with
made a sense
robots?
for you, maybe.
Well, I think the season 10 episode Whirly Brains gives us an important clue. In this episode, suddenly
Oh,
a new
frick.
toy becomes extremely popular in Bikini
I think I remember this song. I think it was used in the Happy Meat Farm stuff,
Bottom, the Whirly Brain.
and like the subjects. Oh yeah, I think it is. I know it's not.
Yeah,
It's off
a weird
topic.
episode. So people are actually
It's just what I
voluntarily
remember.
attaching devices to their
Because that
brains,
subject video
bringing
was
them
kind
out
of
their bodies.
creepy
And
in a way.
No one thinks that this is suspicious. If you ask me, this
Actually,
seems like
I don't
the
know if it
perfect
is.
way to replace someone with a robot. Remember, in Welcome to the Chum Bucket, Plankton told us how he turns people into robots.
I'll be forced to remove your brain and implant it in my robot chef.
By removing their brains. But is there any proof that he's the one behind the Whirly Brain toys? Let's take a look at the new SpongeBob prequel, The Patrick Star Show. Every once in a while, the show cuts to this stop-motion parody of
Dang, look at
Frankenstein
that.
and Plankton, and he actually uses Whirly Brains to conduct his experiments.
Hey, the Whirly
It's
Brains.
not super clear how this all connects to the main show. I mean, we do see Patrick interact with the stop-motion Plankton at some point,
What
so
the heck?
they're at least in the same universe, but regardless, it's still a solid connection. We see another head-based gadget in the season 11 episode Bottle Burglars, an
Bubble
invisible
Bass.
helmet being advertised in a magazine for only 99 cents. And in the same episode, we see Plankton
wow.
using the exact same helmet.
Crabs will never see me.
So yeah, he is selling his products,
Rizzo.
but I'm guessing for fish size,
My boy was very muscular. God damn, Plankton. That boy
That
got
muscle, though.
abs for days.
Now, maybe this
Never
is
noticed
just
that.
implying that he bought the helmet from the magazine, but that doesn't really line up with what we know about Plankton as an inventor. Plus, I can't see them selling a tiny version of the helmet just for Plankton. Seems a lot more likely that Plankton created
I don't know. It could just be his business, Like yeah, if he did invent the whirly bird, then I'm sure that he just made like normal fish size copies of it, just like with like maybe that helmet.
the helmet and is selling them to the people of Bikini
Yeah.
Bottom, possibly as a
Oh, okay. I guess this was the part where I thought, he said that he sells his inventions, because I remember something like this. I think it was this part.
create more robots.
How hard does this nigga have to watch these shows to catch this? How hard? Like, I feel like he's watching this shit too hard. Like, this man has like a magnifying glass.
This was pointed out to me, but there was this one time Gary's shell exploded and exposed a
Oh, that was
robotic
true.
motor.
Forgot about that.
But But since it was just a one-time gag and there's no other robot connections with Gary, I don't think there's enough
And
to
it's
make
normal.
a case for our robot Gary theory.
Imagination
so
theory.
We're starting to get a pretty clear idea of how Plankton plans on turning the citizens of Bikini Bottom into robots. But there is one more character that I believe has already been secretly assimilated into a robot. And it's not some random background character either. It's one of the main characters in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, I remember
final
who.
part of the robot
I remember.
invasion theory is going to completely change the way you look at the entire show. Are you ready? Because this is the Patrick Star theory.
Patrick?
Yes. Oh my gosh, the picture. That's the meme.
Now, I fully realize saying Patrick is a robot is a very bold claim, but hold your judgments till the end. By far, the most requested theory I get on this channel is to cover Patrick Star, and more specifically, his inconsistent intelligence. Throughout the entire show, there are these little moments where Patrick suddenly says something smart.
I'm a bit more complicated than that. The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
And then immediately goes back to being dumb. There's so many examples of this happening that many people have actually made their own theories about it. Is Patrick secretly a genius and just pretending to be dumb?
Look closely at the bottom YouTube video titles. They spell out a secret message from the Muse? Is Patrick a genius? Oh shoot. My bad. Oh my gosh, why is it doing that?
Does he have a secret split person?
There it is. I saw begin planting spore. There's Happy Meat Farms. But yeah, this is pretty much gonna be confusing for those who know nothing about the Muse ARG. Just know that when he made these theories, he also tried doing it in ARG, which is an alternate reality game. It's pretty much like an Easter egg game in real life.
I diagnosed Patrick Star with trauma-induced anxiety triggered spontaneously duplicative multi-intellectual DID with additional paranoid schizophrenic delusions of a mental multiverse. Paranoid
multiverse.
Whoa!
Maybe, but I've come to a bit of a different conclusion. Have you ever noticed how every time we see Patrick try to think, there's either sparks or smoke coming out of his head?
Yeah, I thought this part of the theory was really good. Because I do believe he's a robot.
Patrick thinking again.
And almost every time we see inside of Patrick's head, it's represented with gears or some kind of machinery.
Toast.
Now, we're supposed to assume that this is just a cartoony way to visualize thought, but what's strange is just how consistent they are with it.
Yeah, it's just
Even
Patrick. I
stranger,
don't remember anyone
none of the
else
other
having
characters'
that.
thoughts are visualized this way.
I think like Squidward's brain is normal, SpongeBob's brain is normal.
Squidward's happy gland is forced to take
Oh yeah, there we
shelter
go.
in the recesses of his mind.
It's only Patrick who seems to have this robotic association with him. And just look at how detailed they are with it. While Patrick's head is sparking in Rule of Dumb, if you look closely, you can see a spring pop out of him, and even a hole
SpongeBob
left
looks at
behind
it.
by the spring. That is such a small detail that no one would notice unless you were going frame by frame. And if this is just supposed to be a metaphor inside of Patrick's head, how come SpongeBob clearly sees the spring come out? Alright, so
It could
now
be
that
the
I've done
imagination
my
theory.
imagination theory,
Oh yeah, there we
some
go.
of this evidence doesn't hold up as much, but even looking back on it, it's still just strange how many robotic connections there are with specific.
I feel like just with how consistent the robotic parts are, I feel like that weighs in more than just the imagination theory, you know? Because it is just Patrick. I don't know any other character that is like kind of robotic as him. Oh, my bad. I think I have this double clicking problem with my mouse. That's why it keeps going in and out.
Specifically Patrick. I don't know. I still think it works. Okay. So
Yeah, me too.
Let's entertain the idea for a moment that Patrick might be some sort of robot. How would he have gotten converted, and why does this cause him to randomly become smart every once in a while? Well, I looked at all the scenes where Patrick suddenly does something smart, and I noticed a bit of a pattern. There are two different types of these moments. There are times when we think he's saying something intelligent.
Wait, SpongeBob! We're not cavemen! We have technology!
We have technology.
But then it's revealed he's not actually being smart. This doesn't contradict his character at all.
I've used that
Patrick is
line so
someone
many
who doesn't
times,
see
man.
himself as dumb, so there's lots of times when
We
he
have
tries to be smart,
technology.
but he fails.
Dumb people are always blissfully unaware of how dumb they really are.
But there are also moments where he actually does do something undeniably smart.
Wait a minute, Squidward. They might be onto something.
We could filter the CO2 through our ballast tanks, refire the engines,
Yeah, this part
and
was
ride
crazy.
the shockwave out of here.
Wow.
Because, like, there were other moments where Patrick was smart, but, like, the only other time I remember was, like, when he was made to be that way because he had a different brain and stuff. This one was, like, after all that. Like, he wasn't, he didn't have that brain. So just seeing this was, like, so surprising when I saw the scene, like, way back in the day. Oh, my bad. Again.
He's right.
But then he immediately acts oblivious to the fact that he was being smart.
We're going through with your plan, Patrick. Yay!
What plan?
So, I kept track of these two different types of moments, and it seems like after season 3 is when he suddenly switches from pretending to be smart to actually having these smart moments. And this switch perfectly lines up with the season 4 episode, Patrick's Smarty Pants. In this episode, Patrick falls off a cliff.
Yeah, this is the one where he had a
knocked
different
off.
brain.
SpongeBob accidentally replaces his head with some brain coral, which makes him become a genius.
I find all this laughter to be highly illogical.
In the end, they switch back to his normal head and Patrick goes back to his usual stupid self. But take a closer look at the scene when he first puts on the brain coral.
Here's your head.
There's a plug. And robotic parts.
Now, many people have interpreted these gears with cobwebs as a metaphor for Patrick's brain never being used until now, but these gears are not from Patrick's brain. His brain came off during the fall, which means these gears are entirely from the brain coral. And at the end of the episode, when they remove the brain coral, we can still see the electrical plug attached to it. We are no longer seeing a metaphorical representation inside of someone's head. We are seeing this plug from an outside perspective. The brain coral is just like the Whirly Brains, a robotic device that plugs into your brain to control you. Isn't it convenient that Patrick just happened to land next to a pile of coral that looked identical to his head? Is it possible that Plankton saw this as an opportunity to add another victim to his robot invasion?
Okay, this is obviously the weakest part of the theory. I'm just assuming Plankton was conveniently in the area when Patrick fell and was able to quickly set up the fake brain coral trap. I'll admit it's a bit of a stretch, but there is evidence Plankton was nearby. In the very next scene after they leave the jellyfish fields, we see Patrick studying Plankton with a microscope back at Patrick's house. This supports the idea that Plankton was nearby enough for Patrick to find him. This also implies that even with this smart brain coral, Plankton was unable to successfully control Patrick. Dude, Patrick can't be controlled, man. But I guess that makes sense if, he was near enough for Patrick to get him, to like study him. I do remember that scene.
But after Patrick removed it, he went back to normal, right?
But like, wasn't that like a montage though? Like, of Patrick studying Plankton? I kind of forgot what that scene was like. Because I know there was a montage. I think other than him trying to be dumb again. But I'm sure like some amount of time has passed where, he got this new brain. And then I'm not even sure if Plankton would be even in the area anymore.
He completely stopped Plankton's plan, right? Well, one season later, in the episode Sing a Song of Patrick, Patrick attempts to use his brain again, and we see the exact same gears inside of his head.
Come on, you stupid brain! Work!
The creators went out of their way to recreate the exact placement of all the gears from the brain.
Yeah, that part is
which
freaky,
the
man.
head Patrick put on at the end of Patrick's Smarty Pants was not his head. It was another piece
This is some very
of
good
robotic
evidence.
brain coral.
Just it being
But
like
seems
similar
for whatever
as well.
reason, this brain coral isn't as effective as the first one, and he's only able to have rare moments of genius. Okay, so I know this whole brain coral theory relies on a lot of assumptions, and it could definitely be stronger, but come on, they literally showed us that
No, yeah, I think this one really shows that he's really a robot. Like, yeah, you can push the Plankton stuff aside. I think this one is some really strong evidence just because of how similar they are.
His brain still has the exact same gears from specifically the brain coral. Like, what else could this even be implying? I feel like this alone is one of the best pieces of evidence in this video. In the
Oh no, I wanted to read that.
season 12 episode.
But yeah, I agree with Alex. Like that, just how similar they are. I do think that's some very strong piece of evidence.
episode SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, Patrick has another one of his smart moments.
Oh, would you look at the hour? It's almost time for me to take SpongeBob on that tour so you guys can decorate his house.
Yeah, this part was also funny too.
But this moment
He was smart.
in particular is very interesting because Plankton is actually there to witness it. And take a
And
guess
he's surprised.
how Plankton responds to him.
I guess even a broken moron can be right once a day.
He calls Patrick a broken moron because he knows Patrick is a broken one of his experiments. And
Yeah,
if
he
you
can't control
still
him.
Don't believe me?
He
in
failed
the
to
newest
control him.
episode of season 13, The Goofy Scoopers, we get this scene.
This stinks. I wanted to go backstage for an autograph.
Plankton
The thumb man.
was here. Yes, he certainly was. And that is the robot invasion theory.
I don't know. You know, with that last part, in a way, it kind of feels like that whole ice cream color thing. I do think this one is better though. But you know, also Plankton can just be a jerk as well. Just writing that there.
Thank you very much.
Bro, look at his fucking hand.
Yeah. The finger man.
Yo.
Okay, so before we move on, I have got to bring up a new SpongeBob episode that
Yeah.
recently came out called Welcome to Binary Bottom.
If I remember correctly, I think this is the Title Zone episode where everyone was a robot, or I guess everyone like flipped their their species, where like the organics became robotic, and then the robotic became organic. And I say it that way because one of them was a robot but became human, or like, not human but fish.
For your approval, a trip to Binary Bottom.
This episode shows us a version of Bikini
Yeah, this
Bottom
one.
called Binary Bottom, where everything and everyone
Oh my gosh, dude! I remember this. I forgot where this is from. They had this one time in one of the early SpongeBob episodes, I think. It's like radical. Something like that, like something along those lines or tone. But yeah, I've always thought this was like an alternate universe. I never thought maybe it was like a future thing. But yeah, I am curious about that other. I think it was like SL something.
has been replaced by robots.
I do think it's more of like a multiverse.
So obviously I was like, holy shit, robot invasion theory confirmed, let's go, another W. But it doesn't exactly line up perfectly with my theory. In this episode,
Yeah,
Plankton has
this
also
part
been
here.
replaced by a robot. And not like a mastermind overlord robot running the show, but a tiny, useless robot who can barely move.
Yeah, you think he would make himself better? He would like augment himself to be better. And then,
You forgot
yes,
to wind yourself again.
and there she is.
My flesh and blood wife.
There she is, Karen in the flesh. Literally. Like, she is flesh and not robot like before. Yeah, so for this one, like I thought about it, but I do think it's more of like a alternate universe thing, instead of like the robots taking over in the future. Because like I'm not sure how this would make sense as well.
Also, Karen, the only character who was a robot, is now just a regular fish for some reason. So yeah, unfortunately, this episode is probably just a non-canon alternate universe where all the
Yeah,
robots
alternate
and living
universe
things
is what
have
I
switched
thought.
places. It doesn't seem to have any connection to the implied future robot invasion in my theory, unfortunately.
But
Unless I was wrong about Plankton being behind the robot invasion.
Ooh.
Okay, hear me out. All of the evidence tying Plankton to the robots also ties back to Karen. She has access to
Oh.
all of Plankton's inventions. So this is a bit of a crazy alternate idea, but what if Karen is the one who's actually been behind the robot invasion all along?
this is
Okay,
another
so
like mini
this one
theory.
might be a bit of a
Yes, there has been many comments about this idea, but there's never been any actual evidence for it until now. Okay, I'm curious about it.
stretch, but here's how
It
I
feels like
think we
another
can
mini
make it
theory,
work.
a
Either
bonus
Karen was
mini
the one
theory.
behind the robot invasion, or it was a plan she and Plankton had together, but she eventually turned on him. Plankton
Oh.
treats his wife Karen terribly throughout this show.
Plankton! You
Yeah, he does.
fallen in love with another woman?
That was back when she was a giant screen on the wall, but now she can actually like roam around the world.
And your wife!
Your new new screensaver is stupid, and it makes your processor look fat. Karen, I want you to meet my new computer wife, Karen 2.
Karen 2?
What if this future where he's a pathetic...
This episode is part of the SpongeBob's Twilight Zone parody, the Title Zone, which would seem to suggest that it's just a non-canon anthology episode and not the actual future. But Grandpad accidentally time travels here at the end of the episode, implying it is probably the canon future. Yeah, this is what I mentioned before, where I remember seeing Grandpad just like appear out of nowhere, and then I just assumed that it's part of the Patrick Star show. And yeah, so apparently they do have like a time machine there from like what I learned in the previous episodes.
useless robot is actually Karen's way of getting revenge on Plankton for the years of mistreatment. A way to sort of switch their roles, so to speak. She even turned herself into a fish, a thing that's possible in this wacky universe.
Someone in Karen switched bodies in Camp Coral. Oh.
Just take my word for it, so that she was
I'm
the
guessing
one
Patrick
in control.
switched bodies
She's
with
the
Karen.
only one in this whole town with free will. Again, kind of a crazy idea. There's not a ton of evidence for it, but it's a fun new way to look at this theory, and it's a bit less obvious than Plankton being the one behind it. That's all I had to say. Let's move on to the wrap-up. Actually, wait, hold on a second.
There's more?
After I finished recording this new section, a new episode of SpongeBob was released called...
So yeah, this one seems like the sequel to the other one. Like I've always forget the exact name of it just because it just sounds random. But I'm wondering what this one is about.
PL-1413. It's sort of a remake of
Yeah.
SB-129, where Plankton is accidentally sent into the future instead of Squidward.
Oh,
The
what?
future must be pretty-
So it's Plankton this time instead of Squidward, and everything is Chrome in the future. What's going on with all the mirrors in SpongeBob? There is ton of instances where characters' reflections interact with them as if they are their own separate person. It could just be imagination theory, cartooniness, but there's a lot of strange details with them. Why are they almost always so antagonistic? They drove Squidward crazy and Squid Days Off. There seems to be an actual continuity between Patrick's interactions with his reflection. And I remember that. That's when he was king. And they're referred to as an alternate universe in Chimps Ahoy. Is this another group trying to secretly take over Bikini Bottom? Dang. If my robot theory isn't correct, then are they the reason why everything is reflective chrome mirror in the future? Could they be related to the alternate universe and the algae's always greener? Dang. Now we got like the mirror dimension, like the mirror people invasion.
Great if everything's made of chrome.
Now, the designs of the characters are different, but it still shows a future where robots have taken over. We don't get to see too much about how this world ended up this way or who's in control, but the episode ends with this scene.
See you 2,000 years ago.
Was that Sandy?
Come out now, Plankton 2.0.
I thought he'd
Dang.
never leave.
Look at him.
Once again, it seems like Karen has replaced Plankton with a version she can control. He even kind of looks like the ideal version that we saw when SpongeBob went inside of Karen's brain.
Actually, I'm Karen's version of Plankton. You know how
I mean, if
she'd
it's just
like
having
to
like
see
a
me?
built
So yeah,
body.
I don't know how all of these different futures connect, but it does seem like Karen being in charge is consistent. Okay, now we can finally move on to the wrap-up. Actually, wait, no, one
What?
more thing. Literally, right after I recorded this, another SpongeBob movie leaked onto Twitter, and this one's all about
What?
Plankton. I can't...
If you're wondering why this compilation took so long to make, it's because they kept adding new stuff for me to talk about. I never knew about this. Like I knew the Sandy Cheeks movie was leaked. I never knew they were making this. Like I know they were making another SpongeBob movie. I forgot what it's called, but I don't think it was related to Plankton from like what I've heard. Or maybe this is the one. Dang.
show any footage from it yet, but it does involve Karen getting sick of Plankton and turning on him and trying to
What?
take over the world by herself. It doesn't really like
Jeez.
prove my theory, but you know, it's more Karen evidence. I'll take it.
I like
think
it.
we should be done. We should be good to move on to the wrap up. Unless
This is
something
the
else
reason why
gets
it took so
leaked.
long.
Are we good? No, nothing else? Okay, let's go.
How does it hold up?
All right.
Yeah, I feel like this one. I mean, the one next is gonna be the Apache theory, right? Yeah, because this one has both the Flying Dutchman and Apache. And if I remember correctly, this one was a very unique and weird theory to think about because it has a very unique mechanic to it. I won't say it right now, but it was like very weird with the mechanics behind it. And I think this one might have been possibly my least favorite. I say that in like, and then I just watch it, and apparently I like it a lot more than I thought, than I remembered. But I don't know. Hmm. I gotta say, with the whole thing added at the end over here, I do like this whole Karen takes over. I do like that a lot. Dang, if I had a guess, like, cause he has like I think third place and fifth place left. I mean, just with the movie, like I'm not sure if he's gonna factor in the whole Karen stuff, but I think with that one, it would at least be in third place in my opinion. Let's see if my guess is correct.
Robot invasion theory. I'd probably put it somewhere in the middle at like fifth
Fifth.
place.
Okay.
It's good. It's a pretty good theory. I think there's a lot of evidence that robots are secretly trying to take over, and there's a
To be honest, I prefer the Goofy Goober over the robot invasion. I would probably just switch their places, and that's pretty much like my list. And then yeah, the Apache theory will be in third place. That's interesting. Maybe my memory is just so bad because this is one of the later ones. I don't remember much about this except for like the one unique mechanic behind it. But apparently this is in third place. I can't wait to rewatch this because like maybe it's better than I remembered. Maybe it's one of those moments. But I do think for me, I would just switch these two out. I do prefer the whole Goofy Goober being a cult thing because I feel like to me it feels stronger than the robot stuff. I don't know. Unless maybe you factor in the Karen invasion. I think I think that's stronger than the Goofy Goober stuff. All right.
lot of evidence connecting it back to Plankton or maybe Karen now, but that's kind of the problem. It's just a lot of evidence. This whole video is mostly just me reading off a list of robot examples and connections. It makes for a strong theory, but there really isn't as much of a compelling narrative to keep you engaged, and I think a good theory video needs to have both. Like, for example, the Mrs. Puff theory isn't just me telling you every time Mrs. Puff acts crazy, it's me telling you the tragic story of this very sympathetic character. You've
Yeah,
got
he's
a
trying to
reason
connect
to
it.
keep watching and actually feel something.
It's not like
when
a
reveal
top 10 times Mrs. Puff was weird or had dark moments or had a hidden past. It's not like that. He's actually trying to make a story of how this all is connected and to reveal any like darker secrets. It did feel like this one was just listing out the robots, but I thought it was just him like saying that with Plankton, he's just reusing them as like, just things to sell. I thought maybe like to me that's how I thought he was going about it on why he's listing all these robots here, that it's all from him and that he's just selling it to these other people to make money.
a dark plot twist. But this theory, I don't really give you as much of a reason to care about Plankton's plan or the victims turning into robots, and that's fine for a mini theory, but this was almost 20 minutes long, and you've already watched 6 of these.
I'm not trying to say that this like it's a hard rule for making theories. I'm sure I'll make theories like this again. I think this one just feels extra lacking because it's my seventh theory on the same show, and I've already done a couple of this evil group is trying to take over theories with the show.
I think the new ideas about Karen definitely help make it a little more interesting, and
Yeah,
overall,
I
it's
agree.
still a really fun idea. It just maybe could have been executed a little bit better. Okay, those are my thoughts. Time for the real reason you guys are watching this video.
Yeah, for me, I would switch over to Goofy Goober and the Robot Invasion. All right, here we go.
So the actual most frequent comment I get on any of my videos is, "Where's the jellyfish theory?" And
Yeah, I remember just seeing like some kind of image that he made in one of his early like videos like about SpongeBob. I forgot where it was from, but I remember seeing that, and I was wondering if that was real. I don't know where I saw it from.
Get it. I teased this whole jellyfish alien invasion theory as sort of a
All
misdirect
right,
and Don't Feed the Music.
there it is. Oh, he made it unlisted. Oh wow, so that's where I saw it from. Because like I remember seeing this, and it was pretty much like matching like um with the whole Muse ARG thing. It does kind of like mirror that. I thought maybe I don't know. I guess I'm trying to remember what I thought about this back in the day. I think I saw this and I thought it was just there's just a you know be a reflection of like what's happening in the Muse ARG. But I remember seeing this.
Used to. This may
I
be
guess
my
now it's
darkest
real.
theory yet. This is the alien jellyfish invasion theory. The idea was that the plot of the theory was actually foreshadowing the plot of Don't Feed the Muse,
Yeah.
but a lot of people still really wanted to see that theory, and I
I do
want
to see the
about it to
theory
this
too.
day, and for good reason. I was definitely clickbaiting you guys there, and to be completely honest, I only chose that topic because it lined up so well with the film I was making. I didn't actually
Yeah.
have a theory planned for it, but
Oh, wow.
now that I've really looked into it a bit more,
That's interesting. So he made filler in those 27 and 17 seconds. Yes, I for some reason I do remember the length of that video that he just showed. So that means there was filler there. And yeah, I guess it makes sense that he unlisted it if it was just there to be like a prop. I wonder if someone found that video though. I'm not sure if they showed the URL.
I do think there's actually a surprising amount of things to say about this topic. I think it might actually be one of my best mini-theories in this video.
Really?
So finally, here is the long-awaited alien jellyfish invasion
It's
theory.
finally real.
Aliens have invaded Bikini Bottom and taken the form of jellyfish. One by one, they replace the citizens of Bikini Bottom with identical
Is he actually
clones,
using the intro from
slowly
that
taking over the
Muse ARG?
population from within. Throughout the entire show, there have been hints of these alien jellyfish secretly controlling people and pulling the strings from the shadows. This may be my darkest theory yet. This is the alien jellyfish invasion.
He's reusing it.
One of the creepiest episodes of SpongeBob is by far the season 8 episode, Planet of the Jellyfish. A mysterious green alien appears in jellyfish fields and starts spreading alien jellyfish clones all over Bikini Bottom.
Hold the mayo.
By getting the people to wear the alien jellyfish's hats, one by one they kidnap and replace the citizens of Bikini Bottom with identical clones. This whole episode is very much a parody of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers films. Eventually, SpongeBob discovers the weakness of the aliens is none other than mayonnaise, and he uses it to kill the aliens and set everyone free.
I wonder why mayonnaise. It just feels so random.
But how free are they, really? Afterwards, Mr. Krabs decides to resell all the remaining alien goo as a new Krabby Patty condiment.
Oh no.
Freaky clone jelly relish.
They're just gonna get it controlled again.
Your freaky clone jelly relish patties.
And the episode ends with Patrick ordering one of these patties, but without mayonnaise.
Hold the mayo.
I'll have one relish patty. Hold the mayo.
The
We're
end.
left on this cliffhanger where Patrick might still very well be an alien clone. And that's it. It's been 11 years since this episode came out, and there has been no continuation of this story since then.
Until?
So, is Patrick an alien? Are the Jellians still somehow around, secretly plotting another takeover? Well, before I answer that, I can actually tell you exactly where these aliens came from. The background of the title card for this episode shows a barren alien planet, but we've actually seen this exact planet before. In the season 4 episode, Squid Bob Tentacle Pants, Sandy is experimenting with a new teleportation device and accidentally sends SpongeBob and Squidward to an alien planet for a few seconds.
Oh my gosh, that's the same background. There it is.
The exact
rock.
same alien planet we see in the Planet of the Jellyfish title card. Now, the aliens we see on this planet don't really resemble the Jellians, so at first I thought maybe the Jellians were originally just a different species somewhere else on this planet, but then I noticed in the background we see this orange and yellow ringed planet that isn't present in the Jellyfish title card.
Yeah, it's not
Planet
there.
of the Jellyfish is obviously a parody of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and in that franchise, the aliens invaded Earth because their original home planet was dying. So what if this planet was the original homeworld of the Jellians?
That movie
but
sounds
just
interesting.
like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the planet died sometime between SpongeBob and Planet of the Jellyfish, and that's why the jellyfish invaded Earth. The spots on the planet even look like a jellyfish. Okay, so that's where I think the Jellians came from, but where are they now? Is Patrick actually an alien clone at the end of Planet of the Jellyfish?
No.
No, he's not. And not because I just claimed he was a robot. The Jellian clones all have black eyes and act in a very obviously alien way. And Patrick here looks and acts completely normal. But then why does he ask for a Krabby Patty without mayonnaise?
Hold on, man.
Well, maybe it's as simple as he just doesn't like mayonnaise. Also no. And it's not because of this scene.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
because of the way the season 4 episode Hocus Pocus ends. When SpongeBob somehow figures out how to perform real magic and Patrick asks SpongeBob to do this.
Hey, SpongeBob, I'm still hungry. Will you turn me into a jar of mayonnaise so I can eat myself?
Patricka! Mayonnaise-ica!
Patrick could have asked SpongeBob to turn him into literally any food, and he chose mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is his favorite fucking food, which means there is no way he would ask to hold the mayo at the end of Planet of the Jellyfish unless he was being controlled by the Jellians, at least to some extent. So even if he's not a full-on alien clone, I think he is being affected by the Jellian goo he ate, but in a much more subtle, dormant way. It's kind of like how rabies has evolved to make people afraid of water, because
I'm guessing just eating the goo does carry on like whatever traits that it might give you, you know? Like, yeah, I guess he just didn't feel like mayo since he ate the goo. It just made him not want mayo.
the virus spreads faster without it. The Jellian goo is subconsciously making people avoid mayonnaise in order to keep itself alive. Now, there are little hints that maybe these Jellians are still around, influencing people in future episodes. Gary, Sandy, and even Patchy all mention later that they don't like mayonnaise.
Gary hates mayo.
I don't like mayonnaise neither.
Oh.
Party, you know I don't like mayo.
Dang, that's
And there was
consistent.
the shaman guy in season 9 that had a jellyfish on his head. But, you know, other than these random one-off moments, that's kinda it. So maybe there is a secret jellyfish invasion going on, but like I said, I chose this theory because it fit the film I was making, not because there's any smoking gun evidence to prove it all. I mean, it's not like there's a whole convention of people wearing jellyfish hats, right? Oh,
I mean, there is.
yeah, I forgot about these guys.
Is Kevin like the leader?
So, in the Season 2 episode, I'm Your Biggest Fanatic, we're introduced to the biannual Jellyfish Convention, where all the jellyfish enthusiasts in Bikini
Is
Bottom
that
can meet up
scary
and enjoy
jellyfish
their
that I saw?
Wow, I can't believe it. We're actually here at the biannual Jellyfish Convention.
Jellyfish are awesome.
Kevin's ointment.
Now, there were people wearing jellyfish hats here before the Jellyfish Invasion episode, but it's maybe like 10% of the people. But 4 seasons after Planet of the Jellyfish, we get an episode called Jolly Lodgers where we see the
Ooh.
convention again, and literally like 99% of the people there are wearing jellyfish hats.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Huh. I guess it just got a little more popular, you know, I guess it's not that weird. But not only does the convention seem a lot bigger, but there's some interesting new activities going on. We got increasing your sting endurance, get buff
What?
jellyfishing, do you want to be a jelly?
Okay,
totally
that's-
legal.
That's a
Maybe
bit
that's
sus.
just like a little suspicious. And just listen to the way these people talk now.
You belong with us now.
Oh.
Okay, these guys are Jellians. They even surround Squidward
You belong
in the
with us
exact
now.
same way the Jellians surrounded SpongeBob and Sandy. Look, the creators literally recreated the shot.
I don't know.
I'm not crazy. These
It's
guys are fucking
it's similar.
jellions. And we even see people still
I feel
wearing
like
these jellyfish hats.
I feel like I would be convinced by that part if like maybe just the way the like SpongeBob and Sandy, if maybe there was something to mirror that instead of like the Jellians. I feel like I'll be more convinced with that if they like mimic that with like SpongeBob and Sandy like looking back. But yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like that's more of like a generic like, like horde is closing into a small group.
After the convention. In one of the newer episodes in season 14, we see a random fish wearing a jellyfish
my
hat,
gosh.
even though he's not at or going to a jellyfish convention. But what's really
Bubble
strange
Bass.
here is that
Oh
when
wow.
Bubble
I
Bass
just watched like I was like in one of those like live SpongeBob episodes on YouTube. I think I watched this. Like, parts of it. Yeah, just with the baby going out cuz there was like this lady giving Squidward this baby to watch over while she used the bathroom or something.
opens a window, everyone's stuff flies off except for this hat.
Oh snap, that's yeah, that is
It is really stuck on there. It
It's
really
really stuck.
feels like there is some kind of alien clinging to his head.
And there's
We
no
also
reaction,
see
too.
Kevin's fan club, the Jelly
There's no
Spotters,
reaction.
again in season 14, except now they've all got jellyfish hats, and they've replaced their leader Kevin with Patrick.
What?
Got kicked out of the club years ago.
Which
Dang,
kind of
Kevin
makes sense
sucks.
since Kevin can't really wear a jellyfish hat since he's
Oh. And now that Patrick's like the leader, he's probably like I assume he's like the most affected by the Jellians with their goo and stuff. I'm sure he has like the most influence by them. That's why he's like the leader.
He's got that thing on his head.
I didn't know this was a hat. It wasn't.
So they got someone else who the aliens could actually replace to be in charge. It makes sense. The Jellians are back, and they're using this convention to secretly add people to their alien hive mind collective. In fact, I'm even pretty sure that they successfully replaced Squidward in this episode. Throughout this episode,
Really?
Squidward is trying to escape this convention, but they keep cornering him and even force him to wear a jellyfish hat. But then, at the end of this episode, he finds an empty jellyfish mascot costume and decides to use it as a disguise to escape.
Say, if I put that damn thing on, I can sneak out of here without anybody knowing it's me.
And it pretty much works. He manages to get away from everyone else.
Kevin.
But wait a second. Let's go back to the establishing shot at the very beginning of this episode.
What are we looking for?
Do you notice anything strange here, other than the stuff I've already pointed out?
I'm trying to look for it.
Hidden in the bottom right corner is the jellyfish mascot Squidward will eventually put on. But
What?
if that's the case,
But it didn't happen yet.
why can we already see Squidward's feet coming out of it?
What?
This is way before Squidward puts on the costume to escape. We literally see
Wow.
him outside of the costume in the very next shot.
That's so weird.
Squidward can't also be here unless they already made an
Yeah,
alien
they
clone of Squidward,
Wow.
and at some point during the episode, they switch places.
That's freaky.
Squidward,
They got Squidward.
everyone here has been replaced by the alien jellyfish invasion.
What is that painting? You guys see that
They're
painting?
also replaced by the robot invasion, and also brainwashed by Goofy Goobers, and also being secretly controlled by the showrunners.
Dude, Squidward.
A lot of people are trying to take over Bikini Bottom, okay? There's your jellyfish theory. You can
Who would
stop
win?
commenting
Which
about
faction would win? Oh, here we go. So yeah, that'll be for next time. So yeah, that was it for this video. That was the robot invasion theory and the alien jellyfish invasion mini theory. Yeah, this was an extra long video, 1 hour long right now. But yeah, I'll try to wrap things up like really quickly here. Yeah, for this one, yeah, I do feel like I like this one less than the Goofy Goober. I thought the stuff with the Goofy Goober ice cream just giving that alcoholic effect that really, I felt like there was something more to it, and I felt like Alex Bale, made sense of it with the whole cult stuff because it did feel very culty in a way. But yeah, this whole robot invasion theory, it did feel like at first it was just for Plankton to sell his inventions, and but I do like the whole robot Patrick. I think that was very good, and it makes sense. I think especially with the evidence given, it just felt like yeah, it's true that robot is a a robot. Patrick is a robot, and then with the whole Karen stuff, that one really was really good. But still, like even with all this stuff, I don't know. I'm thinking about it now. Like just with the even with the added Karen stuff, and just Patrick in general, like they both feel very good with their evidences. Like a part of me wants to rank it higher than the Goofy Goober. Actually, it might be higher. I just feel like the evidence here. I'm especially curious about that whole, like movie or whatever, that LinkedIn movie. So I'm wondering if that will like truly convince me that, or maybe not only just convince me, but I'm sure it will like strengthen his theory here. That will make me like this more than the Goofy Goober. A part of me likes the Goofy Goober a lot, but just like with these last two parts with Patrick and Karen, I thought it was really strong. And then the alien jellyfish invasion theory. This was also interesting to think about. Yeah, they got Squidward Man, not just Patrick, but Squidward. I'm still not fully sold on it. I don't know why. I just feel like I need to see the, those jelly eyes somewhere to make me fully to really get into the theory. But there was none of that, Like if they ever had the eyes, it was probably just hidden, like they're just hiding. Just like with Squidward in that costume. Like yeah, he's probably just hiding it, that alien Jellian Squidward. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on this. Next time, we'll be watching the Ghost Pirate Theory and finish things off with the Pinhead Larry. Pinhead Larry mini theory. But it has Larry the Lobster, so he's the real Pinhead Larry. Okay, I'm gonna guess that this will be dealing with the episode where Sandy was in hibernation, and somehow tie in Larry somehow into. If I remember correctly, this one was the one where he had the Breaking Bad art on it with Larry. So he's probably some kind of like drug lord, and Sandy was there like to stop this Pinhead Larry in the past, maybe. I don't know, but anyway, guys, yep, that is it. Next time will be the last one, and yeah, that'll be pretty much it for this whole me watching his videos for now. I will watch like any other future theories that he might have because I do enjoy his theories. Like it's very, very good. It's been, one of the best. Like I would say sometimes even better than like just watching like the film theorists, like game theory in general. Like I like watching these videos more than that. Because it's always like there's always these twists and turns that Alex would like bring in to make it feel so dark and all that. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that'll be it for now. That's game.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good